Hello and welcome to On the Bench Extra, your weekly local football show. Coming up on the show today, as always, we'll be looking at the latest set of results, previewing the upcoming fixtures. We have an interview with Scunthorpe United and there'll be much more football discussion. Joining me on the show today alongside my co-presenter Tom Reid, we're delighted to welcome Grimsby Town 1998 playoff final hero Kevin Donovan. You can get in touch with us on social media too, so don't forget to do that. So, welcome to the show, Kevin.
Cheers, thank you.
Good to have you on. First of all, talking about your Grimsby career, how was it, first of all?
Good, in a whole, for 4 years, 4 good years. Obviously the first year came here in 97, 98, was probably obviously one of the best, and obviously probably one of the best of the football club's history as well. But I've got nothing but good memories from the 4 years here at the club. Great. And
you said about the 97-98 season being your standout, scoring in the playoff final. You also got a goal in the semi-final as well. So how was that season, obviously coming from Huddersfield and obviously developing at Grimsby? How was that?
I think it took a while, because obviously I think Alan sort of threw basically a brand new team together. So it took, I remember, sort of 5, 6, 7 games in, we were struggling to get points. So we're sort of wondering what we'd all sort of taken on here. But eventually it sort of turned round. We stuck to his guns. Alan, obviously being Alan, we knew how we wanted to play. And eventually results started coming and we started to climb the table.
How big an influence was Alan Buckley on your career?
I'd say a massive influence. Obviously came down to West Brom when I was down there. I think everybody knows how Alan wants to play the style of football, and it just was one of them where it suited me, his style of football, and obviously I suited the way he wanted to play football as well.
What was it like scoring at Wembley? Just sum that up for us.
Excellent. I mean, obviously it's every boy's dream to play at Wembley, but to actually go and score at Wembley as well, it's things like I say, you know, it sounds corny, but it's what dreams are made of, and it's what every footballer wants to go and do. And luckily and fortunately enough, I had a chance to go and do it.
Can you remember that goal, Reid?
Just, I was there as a boy watching that game. I think I went mental.
Yeah, as every Grimsby Town fan did.
Yeah.
Was that one of the best memories of your career, would you say?
Yeah, it's got to be up there. I mean, any time you play at Wembley, but probably the standout sort of game was probably the Swansea. It's not the Swansea game. Was the playoff semi-final against Fulham. Obviously, Blundell Park packed to the rafters against Fulham's big spending Kevin Keegan's boys, and I think that was probably the standout game. Obviously, Wembley was fantastic, but just that memory of that night was brilliant.
Because everyone was expecting Fulham to go on and win promotion eventually. So, you know, how big of an impact did that have in terms of, you know, cementing Grimsby's place as a top team within the division?
Yeah, I think it was one of them where it was us against the Giants, really. Obviously, Fulham has spent millions trying to get out of that division. Obviously, we'd spent not a great deal of money, so we had nothing to lose. I think it sort of played in our favour, those 2 playoff games, and at the end of the day, we got past them and onto Wembley.
Just an update of what you're doing now. Can you just explain you into a bit of coaching, I believe?
Yeah, I do a lot of coaching over in the West Yorkshire area, a lot of freelance coaching and working at a college as well. And I'm looking to get assessed on my A licence during March, so that'll be fingers crossed I can get that, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Can you see yourself working at a club like
Grimsby? I think I'd like to come back maybe one day and do a little bit with the club. Yes, I've always enjoyed it. Hopefully, if I can get this the last part of the A licence, then we'll see what happens.
And the age range you've got, you said between 5 and 18?
Yeah, I mean, the kids, it's good because you're obviously dealing with young kids during the day and then the older kids at night, I think. So the age range is sort of 5 to 18, so it's different every day and every week. It's brilliant.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kevin. We'll have more discussion about that later on in the show. So now, team talk. Looking back at the latest set of results, Hull City gained a morale-boosting 2-0 home win over Aston Villa. Deadline day signing Damon Doy scored his first goal for the club after providing the assist for strike partner Nikici Jelovic for the opening goal. Scunthorpe looked on course for a win at the Ricoh Arena after former Coventry winger Gary McSheffrey gave the Iron the lead. However, an injury-time goal from Marcus Tudgay gave the hosts a point. After 12 league games unbeaten, Grimsby Town lost 2-1 away at fellow playoff hopefuls Forest Green. The Mariners equalised after falling behind when home striker Curtis Guthrie headed in Nathan Arnold's free kick into his own goal. And last but not least, North Ferriby made history as they beat Ebbsfleet United 1-0 to make the FA Trophy semi-finals for the first time in their history. Liam King was the villagers' hero as his penalty settled the tie. So first of all, Reid, it'll come to you. The Hull City result against Aston Villa, absolutely massive.
Yeah, huge. Villa scored against Chelsea last weekend, so everyone thought, is this, you know, a revival? Are they going to go and score some more goals? Turns out no. They went to the KC and couldn't actually score again. A massive result for Hull because, again, in that mini-table at the bottom of the league, them 3 points are huge, which now takes them out of that relegation zone.
We talked about that last week, how important those games against the teams near the bottom are going to be. Just how big a result do you feel it is, Kev?
I think it was. I mean, at the end of the day, they've dropped Aston Villa back down in the bottom three, so psychologically as well, to get out of the bottom three, it's a brilliant result. Yeah,
and obviously we're hoping Hull can keep moving up. Scunthorpe United, really unfortunate. A last-minute equaliser cost them at the Rico. Kev, do you think Scunthorpe are going to be pushing for promotion or battling against relegation this season?
I think it's probably pivotal time now. If they can get 2 or 3 good results together now, then they can obviously be looking towards the top end of the table rather than keeping an eye over the shoulder. So 2 or 3 results, they'll be going the right way.
Sam, what did you make to the result? Is it a point gained or is it 2 points lost? Obviously, the last-minute equaliser.
2 points lost, definitely. Look at they conceded that in I think added time in the last few minutes of the game. One thing under Matt Robbins is they've been a lot more solid at the back. They're not conceding silly goals. So you would like to have thought they could have seen that 1-0 out. They couldn't do it. And like Kev said, they need to now go on to get 2 or 3 more good results, and they could be looking towards the playoffs.
You wouldn't have been happy if that had cost you accumulator, would you, at all?
It did.
Grimsby Town as well. It did you say? It's even worse, really. Terrible. Grimsby Town, first defeat in a long while against Forest Green, another playoff challengers. Does that dent their season, Kev, do you think? Or?
I don't think so. As one result, as you say, in 12 is not too bad. So I think obviously if they can put that behind them now and then move on to the next game, or be forgotten with 3 points.
We've talked about it before the show. Do you think automatic promotion is still a possibility or not?
Realistically, I would say no. Looking at the table, I think too strong behind it. So I think he's just got to try and cement their place in the playoffs.
What about you, Reid? Do you think we can catch Barnet?
No, I've said before in the last few weeks, I don't think automatics was ever the aim, to be honest. You probably look at your Bristol Cities and talk he's coming down for that, maybe. It's not always the case. But I thought, yeah, Grimsby, just aim for the playoffs. I know it's a lottery, and in the past 2 seasons it's been difficult, but that's the way I think Grimsby are going to have to do it.
And North Ferriby, the huge news of them getting into the semi-final of the FA Trophy. Just how big is that for a club? We've been talking about it week on week, Reedy.
Well, every week we've been saying now it's 3 games to Wembley, 2 games to Wembley. Now I think it's just beat Bath City over the 2 legs, I believe it is, and then it's Wembley. So they're so close now. How
surprised have you been with how they've got on?
Unbelievable to get that far from where they are. As I say now, 1 step to Wembley. Is it Wembley? I don't know where the final is.
Wembley,
Wembley.
Yeah.
I mean, that's absolutely, for a club like that, it would be absolutely fantastic.
Definitely, thank you. So now we're looking at stewards, and we're going to talk about the Grimsby Town fan who was taken out by the Forest Green stewards, and there's a lot of controversy obviously surrounding it. So Reedy, we'll start with you. We've seen the pictures, we've seen the fans on Twitter voicing their opinions. What do you make to it?
Well, you've got some thoughts of fans that we've collected. Just looking at that picture, should stewards be that aggressive and forceful? I don't know. It's not for me to answer really. You can. I just know I don't know the full story. Obviously, there's 2 sides to the story. They want to maintain calm and peace amongst the fans, but then the fans also want to go to a game away from home. They've spent the money to go there. They want to have a good time and enjoy the atmosphere. So, where's the middle line?
Inflatable football, Kev, it seems a bit innocuous. We don't know the exact specifics and details yet, but do you think it's a bit over the top from what we've seen? Just
common sense. Use a bit of common sense, isn't it? At the end of the day, what they're going to do with an inflatable football, throw it on the pitch at best. It's not going to hurt anybody. So for me, common sense. But obviously, the steward's seeing something different. And like I said, there's always 2 sides, but we'll have to just wait and see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, it was a grown man. Obviously, we've seen there with stewards with their arms around his neck. I mean, that's could they have resorted to something else before that? They might have asked him a few times to do it, but even so, at what point do you need to put your arms around someone's neck to get them to do what you want them to do?
We saw Liverpool a couple of years ago against Sunderland in the beach ball, obviously incident, which caused a goal. So, how is this dissimilar from that, Reedy, would you say?
That's true. I read this chap was at the game with his daughter. I assume he was blowing that ball up for his daughter. I don't think the intention was to throw it on the pitch. I don't know. So if he's just in the stands with it, well, I don't see the problem there. But again, I don't know the full story.
Just looking at some of the responses we've got on Twitter, Graham said stewards think they are police. Overzealous springs to mind. We've also got Christine, who tweeted us, said that they need a licence process just like doormen. They're acting like Rambo when a big team is in town, ain't on. Hashtag up the Mariners. So, did you ever see that sort of thing when you were playing, Kev?
You don't really, not when you're playing. Obviously now when I've sort of retired and you're back in the stands watching teams, then you see things going on and sometimes you just look and think just a little bit of common sense needed rather than piling in and just, arms here, there and everywhere. Just maybe assess the situation, see if it's dangerous or not. Obviously, I wouldn't have thought that situation is going to be dangerous at all, so common sense used.
Yeah, and hopefully, obviously, it can develop and we get some peace at the end of it. Right now, Greg has been testing me and Reedy again, so here's the first part of mine and Reedy's challenge.
Can you name the Hull City team that faced QPR in 2011?
That was my hill. Matt Duke. Sam Ricketts. Andy Dawson. Michael Turner. George Boateng. JJ Okocha. Mike Fryer. You can see Reedy's part of the challenge in the second half. Before we go to the break, here's this week's half-time teaser. In 2009, when Scunthorpe played Swindon, they had 2 players sent off. Can you name them? We'll see you after the break. Welcome back to Extra. The answers to our half-time teaser were Cliff Byrne and David Murphy, so well done if you got that one at home. Still to come in the show, we'll be having a look at some of the upcoming fixtures. We'll also be chatting more with Kev and Reedy, and we hear from Scunthorpe United. But first of all, let's see Tom Reid's part of this week's challenge.
Can you name the Hull City team that faced QPR in 2011?
Mailer, Al Mohammadi, Ashby, Dawson, this is terrible. No, Windass.
If you were playing along at home, you can find the answers on social media. Moving on now, and we've talked about it earlier on in the show, North Ferriby in the FA Trophy semi-final. If they overcome Bath City, they will face either Wrexham or Torquay in the final at Wembley, which would obviously be a massive achievement, Reedy.
Massive. I say it every week, massive. They got them 2 legs, 2 games, and then they're at Wembley. So, and I think they can beat Bath City. Again, it's a kind draw. Obviously, on paper, it's a much easier draw than Torquay or Wrexham, but don't take them lightly, and then you've got a great chance of overcoming them.
Yeah, looking at the positions of both teams, North Ferriby are 10th in the Conference North, Bath City are 12th in the Conference South, so at similar levels, about mid-table. What do you think to the chances, Kev?
I think, like I say, it's a perfect draw for them. Get them over 2 legs, and then if you get, obviously, you're going to get one of the other 2 teams on a one-off game. Who knows? Anything
can happen in cup games, can't it?
Of course,
and,
yeah.
You know, at Wembley as well, as Kev, you'll know more than anyone. Anything can happen in a Wembley final.
Can. At the end of the day, they've got to concentrate over the 2 legs. As I say, keep it tight when they go away from home, and then just give it everything when they're at home, and then hopefully, as I say, get through to Wembley, and then who knows.
Exactly. Looking at the results over the season, North Ferriby, if it's based on home results, they'd be 6th. They've won 50% of those. Away, they'd be 11th in the league, 23%. So the away tie might be a bit of a tricky one for North Ferriby, Reedy.
Well, yeah, like Kev said, you go away from home, sort of keep it tight, get the draw, then at home, you beat them. Obviously, over the 2 legs, that'll be enough. And then, as you say, on the one game at Wembley, Torquay and Wrexham won't fancy that, because I look at North Ferriby and think, well, they're here for a reason. They're no mugs, you know, so they won't fancy that really, because North Ferriby can, yeah, of course they can.
Kev, how do you think a team that's in, obviously, Conference North, the top league for that competition being the Conference Premier, how does a team like that galvanise themselves and get so far in a competition? What's it down to?
A little bit of luck. They've obviously, if I don't know what their draw was, sort of 4, 5, 6 rounds ago, they must have had a little bit of luck on the way with the kindness of the draws. And then once you get closer, the players start sniffing a little bit more closer to Wembley. they raise the game, then all of a sudden, before you know it, 2 games away, chances there for them.
What will the atmosphere be like in the dressing room at North Ferriby?
I would probably say quite tense. Probably those players probably think it's probably maybe their one-off chance to ever play at Wembley. So there's a lot at stake for those players. So it'll be tense, but I'm sure they'll be all right.
Really, we talked about it distracting with the league season before. Obviously, they're not doing as well in the league this season as they did last, where they nearly got promotion. So you've said before that if you were a North Ferriby fan, you would prefer to go to Wembley rather than promotion. Would you still say that?
Yeah, well, like Kev said, I think for this team in particular, North Ferriby United, it's probably the only chance you're going to have in your career as a semi-professional footballer to play at Wembley. So they'd be much rather wanting to pursue that than think, we've got many seasons where we can aim for the playoffs, but this is the one season we can go to Wembley.
Fingers crossed, we hope they can, definitely.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at this weekend's fixtures then. No game in the FA Cup for Hull, so they don't actually play until Saturday the 21st of February when they host QPR at the KC Stadium, looking to build on the recent results. The Tigers beat Rangers on the opening Saturday of the season 1-0. Scunthorpe host Swindon, looking for revenge after losing 3-1 in August. Last season at Glanford Park, they won this fixture 3-1. After the first defeat in 12 games against Forest Green Rovers last time out, Grimsby face another of their playoff rivals in Bristol Rovers at Blundell Park. And finally, at Church Road, after their FA Trophy exploits, it's back to Conference North action for North Ferriby United as they face Tamworth. Okay, we'll start with Scunthorpe again, with Hull not having a week off, Reedy.
Yeah.
Scunthorpe at home to Swindon, who are flying in League One. What are the chances at home to Swindon, do you think?
Well, I think, was this fixture last season, was it
3-1 it was.
So again, great chances. If they keep it tight, they've got a real chance because they can score goals. They've got Paddy Mann and Tom Hopper scoring goals. So if they can keep it tight at the back, you've always got a chance. So I say every week, but yes, Scunthorpe can win that game.
Yeah, and the last meeting was also 3-1. So obviously they're trying to, they're trying to get the win and beat the teams obviously at the top. They're also in this sort of transition where they're in between relegation and promotion. They've got games in hand. How will the team feel with games in hand? Will the pressure be on them, Kev, to try and rise up the table?
I think it's a case of anything. You'd rather have points on the board and games in hand. You only need one of those games in hand to go wrong and then you're chasing again. So they've just got to knuckle down. And it is an old cliche, but it's just that next game and they've just got to get the 3 points and then build on to the next one.
And it comes to Grimsby, they've got Bristol Rovers, which, 2 teams that are really, really fighting it out. Bristol Rovers came down last season, so they've got a good pedigree. What are Town's chances in that game, do you feel?
They're at home, so they've got a good chance. They've got to look to beat those teams if they wanted to sort of cement the place in the playoffs. I think it'll be a tough game, not a lot of goals in it, but as long as they get one more than Bristol, everyone will be happy.
Definitely, and I believe the 2 of the sides were the best defensive records in the league as well, so do you see there not being many goals, Reedy, as well?
Yeah, I think it'll either a 0-0 or a 1-1 maybe would be likely, but ideally Grimsby would, as I say, at home. They went away to Bristol Rovers, that televised game at the start of the season, and got the point 0-0. So if they can, repeat that or go one better and beat them, fantastic. Yeah,
a promising result at the start of the season, the TV game. Obviously not a great one for the neutrals or for the fans that were watching it on telly. But looking at the results between the two, they've played 39 times, Bristol Rovers and Grimsby. Bristol Rovers have won 16, Grimsby have won 13, and 10 of them being draws, obviously. So Bristol Rovers got the edge on past results, but they'll be hoping that they can win it and obviously get closer to Barnet and try and get that automatic promotion spot. North Ferriby back in action. They've got Tamworth, Reedy. Are we still counting, the playoffs? Is it still a realistic target for them?
I think North Ferriby are 8th at the minute. They're not too many points off playoffs. Again, I think the games in that league, they're all over the place. Every team's got games in hand over everyone. So until they level out, you can't see until the points are on the board. So I don't know for them. I think, like I say, their eyes are on Wembley, so their league form might suffer slightly.
And Kev, what do you think? Do you think that they're in for a win here, or do you think they'll be focused on the cup?
I think if everyone's honest, they're focused on the cup.
But they won't want to admit that.
Fans, players and manager as well.
Definitely. Can we have a prediction from both of you for the North Ferriby result against Tamworth then?
I think it'll be a draw.
1-0 Ferriby.
1-0 Ferriby. Interesting. Okay. What about the Grimsby game? Kev, can we have your predictions on that?
I think Grimsby will win 2-1.
Reedy?
0-0.
A 0-0?
Another 0-0.
Why do you think another 0-0, Reedy? Because of the defensive record?
Bristol Rovers are a good side. Grimsby are a good side. The defensive records, the best in the league. So I think stalemate. Grimsby will not want to lose that game after losing to Forest Green, another playoff rival. So I think Hurst has probably said, if you can't win the game, don't lose it.
Can't lose.
Maybe both managers are saying that.
Definitely. Okay, thank you, chaps. Right, we went down to Scunthorpe United to get their view, so here they are.
We've moved on. We've moved on from the game. We don't dwell on it. We've got games thick and fast. So as soon as that game's over and we've done the press for that game, that's done. The next game's the most important one. And big game coming here. Big expectation from Swindon. In terms of the way that they play, you know, how they play is great. Good to watch. I hope I'm not watching too much of it on Saturday. We need to be at it. So we've been working on what we need to be doing and the performance levels and what we're looking for from us at the weekend. So we moved on from Tuesday night's game, and in the cold light of day, a point away from home is always a decent starting point. And we like I say, we move on. What the game plan is always is to try and hurt them when you've got the ball. You've got to try and do that at all times, but they're a good side, and generally the opposition side tend to be without the ball for a little bit longer in the game as against Swindon than any of the other games in the league. So you know, from our perspective, it's a good chance again to go and win in front of the home crowd, and I think that's important.
The views of Scunthorpe United there. Right, Kev, we're moving on to you. We've had an email in from a good friend of yours, John McDermott. He has asked, how did you get the nickname Snipesy after the actor Wesley Snipes? Right, Passenger 57.
Right, interesting one, that one. I can't actually quite remember. It's quite a few years ago. I'm just wondering whether John's trying to take the pressure off himself from being Alan Buckley's T-boy. So obviously when we went to the away games, travelling on the coach down there, sometimes it'd be, say, Bristol Rovers, 5-hour trip. John would have to spend 4.5 hours at the back of the bus making Alan's tea and coffee, so he only got down to sit here. I think he sat down for about 30 minutes for every away trip. So maybe he's just taking the pressure off, because I don't know what he's on about. No idea.
He said the reason for it was because you wore number 7.
Right, I think he's just covering up even more there. He's just obviously, I don't know, I'll have to, next time I see him, I'll have to question him, because I'm not quite sure myself.
Also, apparently, because in some of the games, the lads carried you as a passenger.
Right, that might be it. It's coming back to me now.
There we go. Thank you very much, chaps. Right, time has beaten us once again. So don't forget that you can join the show every Saturday at 10 AM on Estuary TV. Thank you very much to Kevin Donovan and Tom Reid for joining us. Don't forget you can also get in touch on social media. The details are on your screen now. So for this week, it's goodbye.